Yeah, Libertarian Realist is continuing his tantrum. You know, he gets in Skype. It's more of the dismissiveness, the dismissiveness bug. And I know what this is. I'm a hard-nosed realist. I live in the real world. You want to be like Somalia, pound, pound, pound. You want to be like Somalia, pound, pound, pound. Chupuka. You want to be like Somalia. Advocates of higher taxes and restrictions that libertarian realists oppose. They'll use Somalia argument too. Coughlin brings up years-old shit. For example, says, "Oh, now you're saying that the term racist is a bogus concept and has no clear conceptual definition, is just used as a vague slander." And then Coughlin says, "But 2 years ago, here's a blog post where you said people are racist, these people are not racist. So 2 years ago, you said something different than what you're saying now. See, that's hypocrisy." Okay, and this is kind of what Libertarian Realist is doing. I think the video, at least the parts regarding me, was made about a year ago. I think more than a year ago. And it was referencing blog posts and content from like a year prior to that video being made. Okay, so he's dredging up ancient shit. He's dredging up things from stuff that I don't believe anymore. Stuff that I don't even remember saying. Obviously I said it, right, because it's right there. Okay, and I don't think he's photoshopping any of this. Okay, he's not the kind of guy who does that. But it's just years old shit is what it is, and he's going on his tantrum against anarchy, right? That's his priorities here. He's not dealing with the big problems of the day. No, he'd rather focused on anarchy because we got this Skype room circle jerk, and they're all fancy themselves out to be pragmatic, hard-nosed realists, and it's just an emotional trend. I'm living in the real world. Living in the real world. I'm gonna deduct what you say by pure parsimony. Intuition is wrong. Your ideas are based on intuition. The end. Somalia, Somalification, anarchy. Right? And then, I don't even call myself an anarchist. I haven't called myself an anarchist for years. Years, plural. 3-4 years. Who is he talking about? Supposedly he's talking about me, but he's not. And just like, and this kind of shit that Libertarian Realist is doing here, it's like it destroys precision. Because, for example, my argument regarding, supposedly say, let's kill all statists. Okay, like most straw man arguments, it's more complicated than that, right? Like people who make shit up about Karl Marx. Okay. Now, when I made my response to Brendan M. Cooney, people say, "Oh, you're straw manning Karl Marx." No, I was not, because I was not responding to Karl Marx. I was responding to the arguments of Brendan M. Cooney. Okay. And I contend I was not straw manning Brendan M. Cooney. Okay, I made it very clear in those videos that I was not arguing against Marx because I had not read Marx. Okay, I was responding to the videos specifically that I was responding to, not making any inferences or any proclamations that this is what Karl Marx said or that, because I don't know what Karl Marx said. I have some general ideas of what Karl Marx said, but not enough to warrant a full-scale refutation of his economic theories. Okay, in fact, I've read more of the writings of cultural Marxists in the Frankfurt School years ago, but you don't use it, you lose it, and I've lost it. Okay, anyway, and I lost it without making videos and stuff on it when I had it, so I'd have to regain it again in order to. Anyway, that's another topic. But my argument regarding killing statists. Okay, active state is an act of war. All laws are violently enforced. Laws are not suggestions. Taxes are not suggestions. If you don't pay your taxes, they'll throw you into a cage. If you resist being thrown in a cage, you're going to get shot. Now, this is true in stateless law as well. Law without a state has to be enforced. Enforcement means guns. You don't obey the law, bang, 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 you're dead. Okay, all law is war. All law is violently enforced. If someone disagrees with your conception of the law, that is the same thing as Germany invading Poland and them disagreeing, and the Poles disagreeing that the Germans rule the area. Okay, they'll shoot the Germans and they'll shoot the collaborators. Okay, it's war. Okay, and if you go into an area and you have your conception of property and other people don't agree with your conception of property and you have a conflict, they think they're right, you think you're right. Neither side is objectively correct, and it's war. Right? That's all there is to it. Now you can make a pragmatic peace treaty, all right, with the two groups, but ultimately it's just a war, right? An active state is an act of war. Now, because of that, I see anybody who has expressed a political opinion, well, they're giving aid and comfort to my enemy, okay, or they're collaborating with the enemy, or they're outright enforcing it. So, or if they're voting, that's more aid and comfort, okay. And so I basically see anybody who has participated in the political shindig, except for the complete and total abolition of law, anomie, right? Not even abolition of the state, but abolition of law. That's the only way you can escape this. Meaning, and I don't support anomie, right? I don't support lawlessness, right? I support law. So, but ultimately, everyone, if you support the law, you support the violent enforcement, and you support, to a certain extent, people being forced to do things they don't want to do at gunpoint. Sorry, right? That's right. Everyone supports that, just about. Even people who call themselves market anarchists, or especially anarcho-communists or anarcho-syndicalists, unless they outright oppose law, they are not free from this criticism, and they are in the fight. Okay, and so because of this, now you could say, what is morality? I don't believe in objective morality, but I would just say, just as a matter of consistency, only people who are completely apolitical and have never voted, right? Have never voted. If you voted, you're blooded as well, and you're in this as well. And so unless you're someone who is completely apolitical, or their political position is lawlessness, lawlessness, of course, I believe is a complete pipe dream and would never work, then you're basically blooded. You're basically an advocate of some sort of some degree of martial oppression. And all this crap about people who want to say something about a social contract or whatever. I'm not, like, this is stupid. This is stupid. I mean, it's like I mean, I don't know why people still argue this, or they still argue. And anyway, I don't want to get into states as violently enforcing law, because all law is violently enforced, and that's what I was saying, right? And I was saying that I view people who have other political views as members of an opposing army. Okay, what do you do with members of an opposing army? Do you want to kill every single one of them? Well, no, not necessarily, but you want to do what needs to be done to get rid of the opposing army and get them to stop fucking you over. Okay, if that can be done by persuading them to stop doing what they're doing, so much the better. Right? That seems to be the best way to do things. Okay, trying to take on the Big Red One or the U.S. Army Rangers does not seem to be a particularly wise thing to do. Okay, but ultimately, if that were to be a practical strategy, it's not. If that were to be a practical strategy, I would countenance carrying it out. Right? Just like the Irish would countenance, shooting and killing the British occupiers. Just like the Poles would countenance shooting and killing the German occupiers. Okay? And that's what I was saying. Not some weird, he's trying to draw some analogy to some Marxist radicals who say kill all people who disagree with me just because they disagree with me. It's about boundaries and enforcement. The last thing I want to say, yes, law is violently enforced even in a polycentric legal order, but if you're for sovereignty and you're for self-determination, you saying that polycentric law and state law are equally oppressive is just dishonesty. I don't think anybody who makes that argument is making it in good faith, because when you're dealing with polycentric law, you're dealing with people who sign up for an organization, and you're dealing with, now you could have that law being applied over a fiat area, like a state. It's possible. It's possible. But what you don't have with polycentric law, like you have with a state, is this kind of socialization of costs in order to do such a thing, right? You say, well, we're going to send some guys out into this area that no one else lives in and force people to live under our legal order. Well, who's going to pay for that? It's possible that you could find a way to get people to pay for those kinds of things, but you know what? I don't know why I'm talking about this. I've already talked about this at length. I don't know why I'm bothering to do this again with someone who's supposed to be more on my side than my opponent, but he's making he's seems to be a more dedicated opponent than Coughlin. And I don't know if he's being dishonest or if he thinks that this stuff written years ago is really what I believe. I don't know. I mean, maybe here's a hypothesis, and this is going to be me psychologizing libertarian realist, and this is not. I don't like psychologizing, but libertarian realist, he's like 30-something, 30 or 31. I'm 22, going to be 23. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's older, and so he's more set in his ways, and so when he sees stuff from 2 years ago, he assumes that's similar to what because in his case, what he said 2 years ago is basically what he believes now, whereas what I say 2 years ago is not necessarily what I believe now. I think I'm kind of a rock of stability in terms of my support of polycentric law, where everyone else around me is changing their views and stuff. So, I mean, and this is not really I'm not, I've done this stuff, and I see these realist face. I'm a realist. I'm living in the real world. Smash, realist smash, macho state. I've been there, and I know exactly the pathos that's going through there, or pathos, however it's pronounced, that's coursing through them. Right? I know that. I know what they're about, and I don't appreciate it, and I don't respect it, and I don't think it's not smart. It's just man wisdom, and most of their objections come from not having listened to my full elucidations of my system. I think there are some objections you can raise, some legit ones, but these people have not raised them. Spock Talk makes a video thinking that I support an instantaneous, transition to polycentric law, right? And that kind of criticism is just not having basic facts. It's just poundy fist realism, and I don't appreciate it. I don't respect it, and I don't warrant it. It doesn't warrant an effortful, thought-out response. What it warrants is kind of a stream of consciousness response, and so that's all I'm going to give it.